It didn't happen?
No, it did happen, but it's good that it didn't happen on a Tuesday or a Thursday where it would have been Laffy and I ruining the beginning of the show. Anyway,
I thought you were saying it fell through or something.
No, it didn't. And we are live. What's up, everybody? I'm starting to forget how to do this. Been a couple days. All-Star break has come and gone, and we're back. 13-game Friday slate. Adam and I have both been thinking it's Monday, apparently, all morning. But no, Friday. Full-on 13-gamer, and I'm pumped. I actually thought that we were going to get more high-end pitching lined up for today, so I'm kind of happy that it's not as aggressive as I was expecting. But how was your break, man? Big news coming up for you next week, too. Are we going to talk about that?
What did you say?
I said big news coming for you next week. Are we going to talk about that?
Yeah, I'm already nervous for that. But break was good, so nice to not worry about baseball for like 4 days or whatever, but was definitely getting bored, so glad to be back.
Yeah, I hear you. So I'm going to bring it up since you're not going to. One of our illustrious Awesemo.com, one of my peers, a.k.a. Adam, is going to be throwing out the first pitch at the Orioles game next Friday. So make sure you tune into that as early as possible to find out if he gives it the old 50-cent treatment and fires it into the opposte dugout or something crazy. I'm so pumped
try not
for
to
you. I want it to be so bad for you. I want it to be so bad.
Well, and I told one of my friends, he's I mean, at least it's the Orioles. Like, there's not going to be anyone there. I'm like, it's a Friday night Red Sox game.
The problem in this scenario is that you can throw a baseball. Yeah.
I haven't done so in like 5 years. So.
Right. But there was a time where that was not foreign to you.
Right. Yeah. I'm not going to look like an idiot. The ball just might not go where I want it to. But.
Oh, God. I just want something to hit a bystander or something. That's what I'm looking for. That's my ultimate goal. Shame. Just pure unadulterated shame will be the best way for this to happen for all of us.
Well, I think I've already told you, the last couple of years I played baseball, I kind of had turned into Chuck Knobloch throwing from the infield, just no idea where it was going. So I'm already just replaying the most embarrassing throws I made from second base that, missed first by 12 feet.
Here's the real question. Let's just assume, do you think you'll be on the mound proper? Are you going to make yourself go back like that 4-year-old kid did?
The mound, what about the 4-year-old kid?
Some kid wanted to make sure that he was throwing from the mound and not from the child section of the opening pitch. But anyway, here's my question. Do you think that you will be the worst guy to throw out a pitch for the Orioles this year? Or would that be like John Means or Dylan Bundy or something like that?
I was going to say, I actually kind of thought about that, and there are people on the Orioles that are paid to throw baseballs that make some really bad pitches. So it does make me feel a little bit better.
What will be worse, your pitch or the average pitch of Dan Straley this season?
Average pitch of Dan Straley.
Okay. I love it. Okay.
So I do need to figure. I have to get a Means jersey, I guess, right?
That shouldn't be hard to find.
I assume they make them. He was an all-star. But
yeah, and I'm sure they're not exactly flying off the shelves either, so
right.
Won't have any issue there. I don't know what number he is. 57 or something stupid, probably.
45, I think.
I don't know.
45.
I was just picking numbers
Maybe.
That clearly didn't go together. Trying to think. I was just trying to think if there was a former Oriole with the same number. That'd be fun. Do you think you're gonna wear a Means jersey, or are you going to one of your own personal collection?
I don't have any Orioles jerseys, so I'm gonna end up buying one, and it may as well be Means, I guess.
I love it. I love it. Oh, you should totally.
Oh, he's 67. I don't know where 45 came from.
Well, I guessed 57. That's almost close.
Is he really number 67 or an old
Is he really? Baseball numbers outside of have not mattered to me since I was a child.
Yeah, nope. He's 67.
Well, there you go. Bet that's a really exciting one to wear around. All right, let's go through the normal pleasantries to start. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us. Any monthly package you choose, including packages with Fantasy Cruncher. If you would like to check us out, and you can get 50% off. MLB Strategy, one big word. We've We've automatically opened up the coupon code spot on our sign up page to hopefully mitigate some of the incorrect entry of said code. So we're here for you. We're here to serve. And since I haven't said it in a while, and this is not flowing off the tongue like it normally does, brought to you by Yahoo Sports. Yahoo is the presenting sponsor of this show, of the Deeper Dive, and of the Early Bird. I am dropping the link to Emacs Spotlight Hitters and Stacks article into YouTube chat right now. If you want to sign up at Yahoo, there is a link inside Emacs article that you can use to sign up. You can use the promo code AWESOMO and get up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. I think that the no management fee contest for today is already filled. It's,
I mean, they probably posted it like a day or two ago or something.
That's what I mean. Like, it's either that or it's not here for today, but I don't see it right now. And I'm going to assume, I can't imagine why they would have stopped it. So, yeah, you didn't get in it on Friday, guys. Got to be quicker to the draw. It's the best contest going. I say it every single show that I do, and it doesn't make it any less true. Being able to get in before they take anything off the top is just money right back directly into your pocket. You cannot beat it. It's the easiest way to do it. It's like a 401k match at a company. Put in whatever you can max out on so that they'll give you that money back. It's free money. You ready for this? 13 games. Haven't talked about baseball in a long time.
Yeah, I kind of forgot how to do it.
So did I. I was about to start talking basketball. Boy, is there never a shortage of stuff to talk about in the NBA. Got that text right as my eyes were starting to close last night. Like, cool, gonna be up for the next 90 minutes reading Twitter.
I think you and I actually agree on it though. So,
well, let's get it out of the way. Terrible trade for the Rockets.
Yeah, stupid.
Yeah, okay, we're on the same page.
Like, makes them, I guess, marginally better now, and then just worse in the future.
I'm not even sure if it makes them. It might make them better in the regular season, but I'm not sure it makes them better in the playoffs.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I feel like it's too hot takey to be like getting Russell Westbrook doesn't make you any better, but I don't think it makes them Western contenders better. I don't think it makes them even close, and they gave up picks to do it.
Yeah, that was the part that surprised me. You want to swap them straight up and say like talent and age offsets the extra year. Cool. I probably wouldn't have that big of a deal with it. You know, go for it. All the picks, didn't see that one. Because Sam Presti is going to end up trading Chris Paul to Washington and get more picks. And then he's going to trade John Wall for more picks. And he's just going to end up with all the picks in all of the drafts in the future.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, their lineup now is still like contender for 8th in the West. Like, they still have pieces that, you know, like they can unload for more picks if they want to.
Yep. Paul, Schroeder, Gallo, Adams, not the worst. Roberson if he comes back. The Grant trade is actually the big one where it's like, that's a piece they probably needed.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Presti's gonna like flip Chris Paul to the Wizards and get Bradley Beal and picks back at the rate he's going.
I just want the season to start with Bradley Beal still on the Wizards.
I don't. Why do you want to be so? Why you got to be so mean to Bradley Beal? I'm sure he doesn't want to start the season with Bradley Beal on the Wizards.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, let's do this. We could talk basketball for hours. Yeah, we're only 8 minutes and 54 seconds into the show. If this were me and Laffy, we would have been at the 20-minute mark at this point. So, getting better. What can I say? Here we go. Timestamp in. I'm a new man. Yankees and Blue Jays, and we're starting off with a big one. I've got 6.8 runs for the Yankees, 4.2 for the Blue Jays, a 72% chance to win for New York. Domingo Germán going for the Yanks, Aaron Sanchez going for the Blue Jays. I can't imagine there's a scenario where we want Aaron Sanchez here. Just throwing that out there right now. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I mean, even at like 4,900 on DraftKings, I think there's other sub 5K pitchers I would get to over him if I have to go that route.
Okay. So talk to me a little bit about Domingo Germán here. Obviously a monster chance to pick up a win. $47 on Yahoo, $8,600 on FanDuel, 10-1 on DK. Not a fun DraftKings price.
Yeah, much more appealing on FanDuel and Yahoo. Obviously, with FanDuel only rostering one pitcher, there's more opportunity cost, but the salary is lower. He threw 80 pitches in his first game, his first start back from the injured list. We know he has really good strikeout stuff. He's in a pretty decent matchup against Toronto. The only real concern for me is, if he threw 80 last game, what are we going to get? 90, maybe 95 here. And it makes it really tough to pay that DraftKings price tag. But he does have really good strikeout stuff. And while Toronto's lineup is more formidable, now than it was earlier in the season, there are still some strikeouts in this lineup. There are still some guys that will give you outs more often, at a high rate. So not a bad spot for him on sites where he's more favorably priced.
11% ownership right now on Yahoo. Only 5% on FanDuel, 3 on DK. Got some interest in that FanDuel ownership. He's a little bit better than what that shows. Just a lot of weird pricing.
If he's only going to be 3% on DraftKings, I don't even mind getting to a little bit of him there, but it's not as a core player or anything because of that price tag. But at 10-1 on DraftKings, if you look at the pitchers around him, there's not a whole lot that I'm really in love with. So, maybe getting a little bit more there and just hoping that he's the highest scorer out of that group.
There's not a whole lot you're in love with around Herman on DK?
Not unless it's not loading for me right now, but when I looked earlier, I wasn't.
Okay. This one might be fun then. I like a lot up at the top. Well, I like the top. I don't know. It'll be fun. I like Herman here.
I like Garrett Cole.
So do I. But unsurprisingly, I like Mike Clevenger. I don't get the sense that you'll be shocked by that.
No, I like Clevenger. I hate Clevenger's matchup.
Not the best. Not the best. Got to talk about these Yankees bats. They are 4th in ownership on both FanDuel and DK, unless I pasted the same thing in twice, which I did not. So that's good. Monster run total, highest on the slate as of right now, barring the Royals-Tigers game coming out with a bigger line, which it will not do. What do we do here outside of just roster up all of these power arms against Aaron Sanchez? Or power bats, rather.
Take the Yankees. They should have not their full strength lineup, still no Voit, I don't think, and still no Stanton. But still, obviously a really deep lineup. They get the designated hitter back. And you're probably going to have legit home run threats from 1 through 7 here, if you count LeMahieu, 2 through 7 if you don't. And then, still decent bats in Urshela and Gardner at the bottom. So a really deep lineup that you can stack in a variety of ways. You can be contrarian within this lineup because there are 13 games on the slate. So even popular teams obviously are a little bit lower owned than they otherwise would be. But it's such a deep lineup that you can there's a lot of different combinations you can make that make you contrarian and get you some lower owned guys even within the Yankees lineup. So lefties are always, the priority against Sanchez, but the right-handed bats in this lineup just have so much power that it really doesn't matter all that much.
Yeah, we're on the same page here. Judge, Hicks, Sanchez, Gregorius, Encarnacion, Torres. It's just so much in the heart of this order. We've got Encarnacion, who's 4,700 on DK, projected for 4% ownership. You have him in the stack, you're feeling pretty good. And you're not super worried about the ownership of the rest of the guys. Most of the ownership coming into that 2, 3, 4, 5 stretch. Judge, Hicks, Sanchez, Gregorius. Do you have a favorite Yankees bat today?
Either Gregorius or Hicks. Either of the power lefties.
Okay. I'd lean Hicks there, but obviously position is super helpful for Gregorius.
Also, being in Yankee Stadium is super helpful for Gregorius.
Very, very true. Any interest whatsoever in Blue Jays bats against Herman?
No.
Yeah, I pretty much feel the same way. Like
even Danny Jansen's price tag has finally come up.
Yeah.
He's still, I guess, underpriced for a catcher, given the relative upside he has. And Guerrero's still cheap, but 26 offenses to pick from. Domingo Germán's not really the guy that I'm looking to target against.
Yeah, I was like, oh, Justin Smoke grades out okay, and I was like, oh, and then I remembered he was Justin Smoke, and I stopped caring really quickly. As per usual, I don't mind if I end up with a couple Blue Jays bats just because of their power potential, but they're not grading out all that well for me, and I don't get the sense that I really want to attack Domingo Herman on a day where he's not even getting any ownership to like offset the risk for me. So no Blue Jays.
Sure.
Favorite bat in this game still Gregorius.
Yep.
Okay. I got nothing else here. Anxious to see if that Yankees run total goes any higher than it is right now. Time to talk about your boys. Baltimore Orioles hosting the Tampa Bay Rays. 4.3 run implied total for the Orioles. 5.2 for the Rays. 60% chance to win for Tampa. Dylan Bundy going for the Orioles. Yanni Chirinos going for the Rays. No ownership going to Bundy on Yahoo or FanDuel, but he's at 12% on DK, where he's just 7,200. Chirinos 2%, 8%, and 6% across the Yahoo, FanDuel, and DK. Let's start with Bundy. Do you have interest in him at 7,200 against the Rays?
Not a ton. Like if I came in around the field, I wouldn't be surprised, but I don't think I'll get a whole lot more. If this game were in Tampa, I'd be more interested just because of the park. And if Tampa, for some reason, runs out a right-handed heavy lineup, I'll be more interested because you just get a lot more strikeouts from Bundy. But with the projected lineup right now, I'm expecting 4 lefties, 5 righties, but the lefties to be pretty competent hitters with, Meadows, Choi, Kiermaier, and Wendell. And then the righties, at the top, it's not like they're pushovers with Pham, Diaz, and Garcia. So I think that there's upside for Bundy, I guess, at that price tag, but it's not something I'm super confident in. I would expect I end up right around the field.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm feeling too. I don't really need him on FanDuel. I think he's a little too expensive on Yahoo, but 7,200 on DK I think is worth a little bit of a flyer. There are some strikeouts in the Rays lineup, but really depends on the lineup itself. Chirinos, 45 on Yahoo, 6,800 on FanDuel, 8,400 on DK. That $6,800 price tag on FanDuel looks pretty appealing against the Orioles.
Yeah, I agree. It's obviously a good matchup against the Orioles. It really just comes down to the price tag because Chirinos isn't a bad pitcher in terms of limiting runs, but he's not a great strikeout pitcher. 3.89 xFIP this season, but as a starter, 22% strikeout percentage, 5.9% walk percentage. Like those numbers are fine, but it's not anything I really want to pay up for or even remotely pay up for, at like 8,400 on DraftKings. But at 68 on FanDuel, he's a pretty good candidate, for a quality start. It's pretty unlikely he gives up more than 3 runs to the Orioles. He's throwing 100 pitches when he starts, and there are strikeouts in this lineup. So, I think that he's got a shot at a pretty nice game here.
Yeah, I'm on the same boat. I have to ask this question now. I don't want to wait on it. There are 4 pitchers at 6,800 on FanDuel today. Yanni Chirinos, Kenta Maeda, Jason Vargas, Sonny Gray. Who is the most likely? Who will get the most exposure from you at 6,800 on FanDuel today out of those 4 guys?
It's either Maeda or Gray. Yeah, Maeda against the Red Sox or Gray in Coors. Probably Gray.
So not Chirinos.
Or Chirinos and then Gray. Sorry, I was thinking outside of Chirinos.
Oh, okay. I was checking to see if Chirinos was the top guy of that 4. Obviously.
Yeah, no, I think he is. Okay. Gray, I think, is the most talented of the group, but it's Coors Field, and I've never been one to like completely shy away from taking guys in Coors, but with the way the ball flies this year and the fact that you just have an option in Chirinos that's facing the Orioles, I'd be inclined to go with him over Gray.
Sonny Gray with 0% ownership on FanDuel right now. Not that that's terribly shocking.
I assume I'd get over that.
Sure. Okay. Had to ask. I guess we need to talk about bats here. Surprise, surprise. Dylan Bundy gives up power from time to time. Rays right now project with the second most ownership on both FanDuel and DK. I have them coming in 4th for me. They're really concentrated in a couple people. Big number on Meadows, Pham. Choi is 28% owned right now on DK, or at least projected for ownership. And then Zunino at 15%, $2,900 catcher. How you feeling about these Rays bats against Bundy?
Yeah, I think you can full stack them. I think that you can mix and match. It doesn't really matter because Bundy, obviously gives up a lot of home runs, and the Orioles bullpen behind them will give up runs as well if Tampa can get Bundy out of the game early. So I think that full stacks have a lot of upside throughout the game. I think that one-offs and mini stacks have a lot of upside just because even if Bundy pitches well, he's likely to give up a home run or two. So, Austin Meadows with a really nice park shift, he's still really cheap because he, kind of went through a power slump before the All-Star break. But Tommy Pham is inexpensive. Garcia's fine. If Choi's back in the lineup, that's a cheap first base option. Zunino gives you a catcher with a ton of power. So there's a lot of just, power bats in this lineup that are getting sizable park shifts going into Camden Yards.
Austin Meadows is $9 on Yahoo today.
He's been probably the most mispriced player on Yahoo all season.
Yeah, probably. It's got to be close. I mean, he's been oddly priced on DraftKings too, but there was that stretch where he was like 5,900 or whatever, something crazy. Now it's tumbled back down. It's really hard to not like the Rays here. Park, Bundy, team just in general. I get the ownership. They should be easy to full stack though if it's coming in bunches. All you have to do is add a Kevin Kiermaier or something at 1% ownership and you'll be feeling pretty good about it. Any Orioles bats against Chirinos?
Not that I'd be excited about. He's just pretty good at limiting runs. VR is not super cheap. Mancini's, whatever. Chance Cisco's even priced up. So, yeah, nothing that really jumps out.
Yeah, I do not anticipate getting much here outside of the requisite Jonathan VR mention. Keeping it moving. Actually, I'd say favorite bat in this game, but I'm pretty sure it's Meadows.
Yeah, it's Meadows.
That's what happens when you lead off and you're a lefty in a hitter's park against Dylan Bundy. Indians and Twins. 4.8 run implied total for Cleveland, 4.1 for Minnesota. It's a 57% chance to win for the Indians. Mike Clevenger going for Cleveland. Kyle Gibson going for the Twins. Clevenger, 14% ownership on Yahoo, 4% on FanDuel, where he's 9,300. We're going to need to talk about that one. 16% ownership right now on DK, where he is 9,600. I love Clevenger constantly, so today is not going to change that. I'm hoping that, getting a week off is even more helpful for him. He went out in his most recent start and dispelled all of the notions of him being problematic. Big time strikeout matchup, no walks, no runs, barely any hits. Got pulled having thrown 70 something pitches. I can't remember off the top of my head right now. Not a lot. He's back as far as I can tell, and at least there's some swing and miss in this Twins lineup. What do you want to do with Clevenger?
Yeah, I think I'm interested to see where I end up on him because I think the price tag does give you plenty of upside. I have him projecting, at least early on, as a good play at that price, but not as like a slam dunk or anything. It's a tough matchup against Minnesota. They do have CJ Cron injured, which makes it a little bit more appealing, but still good hitters in this lineup. Not a ton of strikeouts either. Polanco's a low strikeout guy. Castro will strike out. Cruz will strike out. Sano strikes out. It's not the worst strikeout lineup the way it's set up now. So I think that is, you mentioned it. I think it is beneficial for him that you're likely to have Buxton, Sano, Castro all in the lineup. Cruz will give you some strikeouts. Sol Gonzalez, Rosario, I think expected to be back is a knock against Clevenger. But overall, it's just at that price point, I'm not going to be looking to jam him in the lineups, but I'm not going to be upset with whatever Clevenger I get.
He's my second favorite starter right now, but the piece that's really confusing me, I'm surprised he's only at 4% ownership on FanDuel. A lot of that has to do with Dinelson Lamet. I'm sure I'm whiffing that, but you know who I mean. Projected for 20.
That's right.
Oh, cool. 27% expected ownership on FanDuel right now at 5,600. So
yeah,
he's skewing things
that's
a bit.
Insane price.
It really is. Same with Caleb Smith at 8K. Those guys are just priced at a point that it's making things really weird. But from an upside perspective, it's Cole for me, and Clevenger is coming in that second spot. Certainly scary with the power and some of the talent in the Twins lineup, but I think Clevenger is just really good. So I'll be over every exposure number that I see right now. 4 on FanDuel, there's no doubt. I expect to be over the 16% number on DraftKings as well. Any Kyle Gibson?
Probably not. A lot of lefties in the Cleveland lineup. Not a lot of strikeouts there. Sorry, 7,600's a fine price tag, I guess, but it's just not really a matchup that I like against lefties this year. Gibson has a 22% strikeout percentage compared to 25.3% against righties. He's given up more power to lefties. They've been more productive against him overall. And the really matters, I think, is that there's just not a ton of strikeouts either. So kind of like Bundy. I think like where if I get some Gibson, then at that price point I'm not upset about it, but I don't think I'll get a ton. And I think Bundy has the higher strikeout upside.
Yeah, I would actually prefer Bundy here than Gibson, which is not a sentence that comes out of my mouth all that often. Not a lot of love going to the Indians bats. They're in the middle of the pack in terms of ownership. It's all like 3-4% at best. Twins are also quite low, 20th in aggregate ownership. Any interest in taking some twin stacks against Mike Clevinger?
Yeah, I think the Twins are interesting, especially in large field tournaments. Like DraftKings has their stupid $6 100K to first, 25K to second, 65,000 person tournament today.
Yeah, I opened that up and I was like, "Ooh, I might have to play this one." And I saw the payout structure. I was like, "Ooh, I don't."
Yeah, no, I just said in chat, like all I saw was that they had a $6 100K for first, and I was joking with Alex yesterday that I was going to win it, and he's like, "Okay, fine, I'll take second." And I hadn't actually looked. I was just like, "I'm sure it's like a 75K drop, so that's fine." And I thought I was exaggerating, but I wasn't.
Nope, spot on.
Yeah. But like tournaments like that, especially, the Twins, you're looking even more than normal for just any team that has the talent at low ownership to break a slate, and the Twins do have that. It's not a good matchup against Clevinger at all, but that's why the ownership will be low, and you're really just looking, more than usual, for lightning in a bottle somewhere, and the Twins have enough talent to give you that.
Yeah, I have a little bit more interest in them on DraftKings than I do on FanDuel. If Clevinger's not picking up any ownership on FanDuel, then the juice probably isn't worth the squeeze. But if he is 15% or higher on DK, that's a spot where I'll hope to have a few full stacks of the Twins in case Clevinger ends up going tits up. Not a lot to like here, though, for bats. It's probably Lindor, like it always is, as the best option in the game. Do you like anybody else individually?
Kipnis is a cash play, still just really cheap.
Yeah. Bobby Bradley, $7 on Yahoo. That is the cheapest Indian bat by $6. Everybody else is 13 or higher. I guess Nelson Cruz is mildly appealing, but not. I don't know. This is not a spot for one-offs.
Yeah, 4,200 Rosario, I think, would be my favorite individual play from Minnesota.
Okay. I would probably go to Kepler over Rosario, but we're splitting hairs here. Same basic idea.
I'm sure it was your reason, but Kepler does have some ridiculous numbers in Cleveland.
Yeah, what else would I be looking at?
The only reason I know that is because he has triple donged there twice now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
He did it a couple of years ago, and I got second in a tournament with him a couple of years ago, and then he did that against Salazar, and then this year he did it against Carrasco.
Pour one out for Carrasco right now.
Yeah.
Bummer. Keeping it moving. Marlins and Mets. 3.8 run implied total for the Marlins, 3.7 for the Mets, 52% chance to win for Miami. Caleb Smith going for the Marlins, Jason Vargas going for the Mets. Smith, he's just priced dumb today. 28% expected ownership on Yahoo, 18% on FanDuel, 27% on DK. I don't really know what to say. His price tag makes it so that he should be rostered. I have no qualms with the ownership. It all makes sense to me. It makes me a little nervous. He is a little susceptible to right-handed power, but I get why the field is where they are.
Yeah, I expect he'll be one of my highest owned pitchers here. He's got the fourth highest strikeout percentage on the slate if you include Lamet and Clevinger, at staying at 33%, and Clevinger's not staying at 42%. So really just probably the highest strikeout percentage outside of Cole and maybe Clevenger once, by the end of the season among this group. Pitching in Miami is a big deal for me here. The Mets do have some power in their lineup. They do have some pretty good hitters. Pete Alonso, of course, the one that really scares me, but Wilson Ramos, Todd Frazier, JD Davis, like these guys can all do some damage. But being in Miami makes it a little bit more appealing, and the price tag just takes away some risk. If he was 10K here, you could still justify it based on the strikeout stuff that Caleb Smith has, but you would have a really, really thin, margin of error. But you get a little bit more of it. He can get, if he gives up a solo shot to Alonso or even a 2-run shot to Alonso, if he can just start racking up strikeouts, he'll still pay off his price tag nicely. So I think I know I'll get to a lot of Smith. But again, in larger field tournaments, this is a spot where I think you can look to leverage against him, get to some Mets, because if he does just implode, which he can, like he gives up power and he walks guys, he's not, that's not a profile that really gives you safety. You could a completely unowned Mets stack that has plenty of power and is inexpensive.
Yeah, grabbing Alonso, JD Davis, Todd Frazier, Wilson Ramos, get yourself a little bit of a Mets stack against heavy Caleb Smith ownership. It's a terrible park for it. And I assume that Alonso is going to have a home run derby hangover because you're not allowed to hit home runs in the second half if you're in the home run derby.
Well, to be fair, he didn't hit that many in the home run derby either.
Can't hit 900 like Vlad, or however many he finished with. What's the actual number?
I don't know. A lot.
Something staggering. I didn't watch a single second of it.
I'm pretty sure Alonso didn't even hit more than Jock.
I literally have no idea. Other than knowing that Vlad hit all of the home runs but didn't win, that's all I know.
Right. Yeah, I could be wrong, but I think it was Vlad obviously hit the most, but then I'm pretty sure Jock hit the second most, and then Alonso won with the third most.
Which is craziness.
Yeah.
And yet he's got the trophy on the mantle.
And $1 million.
Yeah, I'm sure he's way happier about the $1 million. I mean,
especially more money than he makes this year.
Yeah. 91. That's how many home runs Vlad hit. Got to be tired after that.
I was shocked that he actually held up as well as he did later on.
Yeah. Might be a testament to how easy those balls are flying out.
Also a testament to the fact that we look at these guys on TV and make fun of the way they look, but they're still in ridiculously good shape, 99% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, he might be thicker than optimal, but he is still a way better athlete than I've ever been in my entire life. I can't imagine that we're too interested in Jason Vargas here, although the park, I guess, helps, and the team he's facing certainly helps.
Yeah, I mean, the park helps, the team helps, it's not like there's a lot of strikeouts in the Miami lineup. I hate talking about Jason Vargas because he's never a good play unless he's 6K. But sometimes he's going to just go out there and strike out 80 guys and score 30 points. I really don't know how to predict it. He's not very good. He has one pitch that's reasonably good. The price tag, though, is just a little bit higher than I would like.
Feel the same way.
I mean,
very little interest.
Yeah.
And then I don't really have any interest in any bats in this game outside of leverage plays against Caleb Smith. Although JD Davis is 2,200 on FanDuel.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Alonso, I'm actually legitimately interested in, even if Smith weren't owned, just because he does give up power, and Alonso obviously has a ton of it. But outside of that, it's pretty much, the Mets have some appeal because of Caleb Smith's ownership. The Marlins aren't even really that cheap. Starlin Castro, I mentioned Jason Kipnis before as a cheap second base option. Castro is an even cheaper second base option if you need to save money there. Alfaro is a reasonable catcher option, but it's just not a good park and not many good hitters on the Miami side.
Totally agree. Man, I never would have thought that there was going to be a hitter in the home run derby that would have a chance to hit more home runs than I ate pizza bites. You were close, Vlad. You were close. I have no doubt in my mind, though, you could probably eat more pizza bites. Red Sox and Dodgers. Big total here. 5.5 for the Red Sox, 5.4 for the Dodgers, 51% chance to win for Boston. Eduardo Rodriguez going for the Sox, Kenta Maeda going for the Dodgers. Neither guy getting any real love, although Erod is at 9% on DK, where he's 8K. Like, I guess I get it as a median projection. It kind of looks okay, but I don't get the sense that I really want either one of these guys. Except for, I guess, Kenta Maeda is 6,800 on FanDuel, which is kind of silly.
Right. I'm in the same boat. And even on FanDuel, like we said, he's the same price as Chirinos. He's the same price as Sonny Gray. And it's just a brutal matchup here against the Red Sox team that doesn't strike out a lot. Maeda is phenomenal against right-handed hitters in particular, close to a 30% strikeout percentage, 214 expected WOBA this year. But against lefties, only a 19.7% strikeout percentage, 331 expected WOBA. You're likely to have 3 or 4 lefties in the lineup here. Probably will get Devers, Benintendi, Bradley, and Holt, I would assume. So a pretty balanced lineup. Not loving Boston, especially because they are priced up. It's not like we're getting a discount on Rafael Devers because of the tough matchup or anything. So it's a weird one because I don't have interest in the pitching outside of maybe some Rodriguez on DraftKings just because of the price tag. But I don't anticipate to get a lot of him there. But I'm also not really in love with the bats outside of if they are going to be really low owned. They clearly both have enough talent to be the same kind of play that I talked about with Minnesota.
It's incredible to see Kenta Maeda be $1,300 cheaper than Eduardo Rodriguez on FanDuel and $900 more expensive on DraftKings.
Yeah.
That's hard to do.
Just wait. You already mentioned it, but the Dinelson Lamet difference?
Also pretty aggressive. Yeah, I assumed that I would have more interest in bats. I don't really. Red Sox coming in as my 10th ranked stack, Dodgers coming in 11th. That's basically exactly where they are in terms of ownership as well. I'll have pieces of this game, but I don't get the sense that I'll be heavy on it. Justin Turner and David Freese, both projected for double-digit ownership on FanDuel, where they're both sub 3K third base options. Otherwise, like I'll pick some spots, but I'm not really excited to get hitting.
Yeah, it's pretty much full stacks for me because neither pitcher is that appealing to target against, but both offenses just have so much talent that if you're going to have, for example, a bunch of ownership going to the Yankees, as it should, but if you're trying to literally get first place out of 65,000 people, you should probably be stacking up some Red Sox and Dodgers just because of how good these hitters are and the fact that they both have lineups that really can go off against anybody.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite bat in this game?
Actually, Bellinger. Lefty. He should have no ownership, but he hits lefties well. Rodriguez is not a dominant pitcher against lefties. So Rodriguez has allowed a 270 ISO, 214 expected ISO to lefties this year. Since last year, 203 and 185. And yeah, Bellinger hits them well. So I like Bellinger.
Yeah, it's not that I disagree. The prices on Betts and JD right now are just silly.
Yeah.
4,400 for JD. Yeah, 5K is not bad for Bellinger either. I'll take any one of those 3 guys right now. None of them have ownership over 10%. So Bellinger right now at 2, JD at 6, and Mookie at 9. So that's where we're at. I wish I had more interest in this game. I'm really anxious to see how the lineups shake out. I wonder if it opens anything up.
AJ Pollock's supposed to be back.
I have him in the 5-hole right now.
3,800 on DraftKings.
3K on FanDuel, $13 on Yahoo. The very interesting right-handed outfield bat, sub 4K.
But Bellinger other than Pollock. If I had to pick one team, it would be the Dodgers, just because I think Rodriguez is more power prone, and the Dodgers just have Seager expected back too. So basically like a full and Freeze. So like we have a full strength Dodgers lineup now, I think.
Yeah. Fun game. Keeping it moving. Perfect time for everybody to hit the like button. You should definitely hit the like button. Very helpful for us. Takes no effort. Subscribe to the channel. Also, takes no effort. And really helpful. It allows you to know when all of our content is getting posted. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on a show. Later today, we'll have myself and Jake No boss man today. He's traveling back from vacation today. So no Alex on the Yahoo show, but it'll be Jake and I, 1 p.m. Eastern, building cash lineups and GPP lineups for Yahoo. We'll have the deeper dive later today with Adam and Laffy, and then live before lock later tonight, 6 to 7. Chris and Jake. Couldn't remember, and I knew it wasn't me, so it had to only be 2 other people. Really bad. And then Fast Eddie Fear, if you're still looking to do some Summer League content, he will be live tonight as well, and you're only getting that show if you pay for it. So check it out. Rangers and Astros. 4-run implied total for the Rangers, 5.5 for the Stros, 65% chance to win for Houston. Jesse Chavez going for the Rangers. Garrett Cole going for the Stros. Garrett Cole, 24% ownership on Yahoo, 13 on FanDuel, 19 on DK. He's the best option. He's the best pitcher on this slate, and it is not particularly close. Give me some Garrett Cole thoughts for today.
Yeah, I mean the best strikeout or the best strikeout starting pitcher in baseball. You're getting him on a slate where there's, in my opinion, not a ton that I love at the top because most of the talented pitchers on the slate have kind of questionable matchups like Clevenger. For the season, Cole struck out 36.7% of hitters. He has the best PCRA among qualified starters as well. It's dangerous because it's in Texas, and we know that they have power, but they also have a lot of strikeouts in their lineup. Cole doesn't have an issue striking out lefties. His strikeout percentage over the last couple of years has actually been higher against lefties than righties. This year, he's at 39.3% against lefties, 34.2% against righties. So facing the left-handed heavy lineup doesn't even really matter all that much for him. So yeah, I mean, really, really like Cole.
I see over 2018, 2019, 40.4% K rate against lefties and a 127 expected ISO.
Yeah.
Run out all the lefties you want, Texas. Not super worried about it. It's really hard for me to not want to just jam in Cole. I'm absolutely going to have more than the 13% we're projecting him for on FanDuel. I would rather just get on a 13-game slate. I'll find bats somewhere. I just think the gap between Cole and everybody else is too massive. On DK at 19%, I think that number is probably too low as well. I really like Garrett Cole. I hope that ownership stays sub 20%.
Yeah, I agree. Especially because there's not the stacks that we like so far aren't really that expensive. You know, the Yankees have one guy over 5K. The Dodgers have one guy at 5K. The Twins have nobody over 5K. And you know, just kind of not saying we love those stacks or all those stacks, but they're really high upside stacks that you can probably find a way to get with Cole.
I love it. I love it. I certainly have no interest in Rangers bats. How do you feel about the Astros? They are 5th in ownership on both FanDuel and DK, and they are my number 1 stack of the day.
I like the Astros. Jesse Chavez has had issues with right-handed power both this year and in the past. This season, he's been pretty good overall, but he has only struck out 20% of righties compared to 26.7% of lefties. He's allowed a 169, or sorry, that was since last year. This year, he's allowed a 121 expected ISO to lefties. He's given up more power to righties. And you get obviously a right-handed heavy Texas lineup here, or Houston lineup, you know, in Texas. So I think that it's another really, really high upside stack. The part that I think is interesting is that Jesse Chavez is 4K flat on DraftKings, which it's a brutal matchup, and I don't like it, but it's 4K for a guy that's fully stretched out. So in lineups where you don't have Houston, I think that taking a shot on Chavez is the craziest idea.
Man, that makes your pitching super cheap because you're obviously not pairing him with Cole. Or maybe not obviously, but I guess you could be open for.
I would assume I am pairing him with Cole.
Yeah, you don't get a lot of pitching game stacks in Texas in July. Yeah. That's sort of where I was going with it. Like, can't imagine wanting, but that sort of is the spot. I'm gonna have a hard time getting to Chavez in this spot.
Yeah, I mean, there's the thing that stands out is that there's probably a better 5K pitcher.
Daniel Norris.
Yeah, assuming he gets the start. I see him not listed on some sites, but yeah, I mean, it was kind of like I looked through and he shouldn't be 4K.
No.
Like if he was like 5,500, I wouldn't really be interested.
Yeah, we're same page here. I just don't know if you need that money today.
Right, and it goes back to what we just said about how easy it's probably going to be to pair Garrett Cole with some pretty good stacks because there's just not a lot of expensive hitting.
If they're going to insist on pricing Robbie Ray at 7,900 today, I might not need to dumpster dive to Jesse Chavez. I mean, not that it's a dumpster dive. It's more like the garbage laying on the top. It hasn't settled to the bottom.
Right.
Raise your hand if you expected Yuli Gurriel to be the most expensive Astro today.
Yeah, that's insane.
5,400. And kudos to Jose Altuve, 4,400 now. Slowly but surely getting to a price tag that makes some sense. I can't get away from the Astros here. 5.5 run implied total. Hitters Park. Texas in July. Don't really care about Jesse Chavez at all. I'm going to have a lot of Astros.
I agree.
Favorite Astros bet?
Altuve in cash at 4,400. Either Bregman or Springer for tournaments. Don't sleep on the bottom of the lineup though with White and Chirinos. Just obviously flawed hitter, but a lot of power there at probably lower ownership.
This is a funny one. Gurriel and Tyler White, the two first base options. 2% ownership on Gurriel because of his price. 1% on Tyler White at 3,400. Just have one of those guys. But like, if Tyler White's going to be 1% owned, give me all of the Astro stacks. No one's going to.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a very high percentage of Astros 5-mans will be Springer, Altuve, Bregman, Brantley, Alvarez, and then I would assume that another, like the next highest percentage has like Josh Reddick over one of the more expensive outfielders. And then a high percentage will have Chirinos in there as the fifth guy because he's a catcher. But I would think that White and Gurriel, like you said, in particular, are just kind of left out because White's not very good and Gurriel's overpriced, and it's not hard to find first baseman.
Yeah, perfect. You explained it perfectly. Very easy to get to a unique Astro stack today based on this makeup. Any other weird pricing to point out? I think so. Do you plan on targeting any Rangers bats?
Not targeting, though. Yeah, I mean, like Joey Gallo is really good, but there's a lot of other bats. Like I would rather get Cody Bellinger at 5K than Gallo at 4,700.
Right. I feel the same way. Not a lot to gain there. That should be it. Keeping it moving. Brewers and Giants. Battle of the Andersai. I don't know if that's how you're supposed to say it. 5.5 run implied total for the Brewers, 4 for the Giants, 64% chance to win for Milwaukee. Chase Anderson going for Milwaukee. Sean Anderson going for the Giants. Highest ownership here, Chase Anderson, 9% on DraftKings at 6,300. He's $28 on Yahoo. Sean Anderson picking up absolutely no ownership. I don't get the sense that I'm going to have either guy. Do you care about the Andersons?
You're not rostering Sean Anderson?
When do I ever roster Sean Anderson? I love that the stands that I take. Like, you're like, oh, here's Sonny Gray. He's second in PCRA, 900% K rate. Meanwhile, I'm just like, Candelario and Sean Anderson, come on down. Whoops.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fine spot for Chase Anderson, but not a ton of strikeout in the Giants lineup. And more importantly, I just don't know how much you really have to get there with how soft pricing is today. If I get to some Chase Anderson, I'm fine with it, but I doubt that I need a ton. As far as Sean Anderson goes, I don't think he's very good. Not a lot of strikeout stuff. Going into Milwaukee to face a really good or really dangerous, at least, Milwaukee lineup, I'm more interested in Milwaukee bats than anything.
You and me both. They are 6th in ownership on FanDuel, 7th on DraftKings. I have them as my number 5 stack. Hard to not want to take the Brewers anytime they're playing at home. There's just so much power potential, so many power lefties, although slowly getting less and less power lefties, depending on where they end up in AAA. But Grandal, Yelich, Moose Tacos, Eric Thames, I just want to have these guys. Thames at 1% ownership right now. Grandal, 8%. I get it. He's a $4,900 catcher, but he doesn't hit like he's a catcher. I'm going to have a bunch of Brewers today. I'm not terribly worried about Sean Anderson as a pitcher.
Yeah, no, me neither. I do think not like it should be a huge priority. Like you shouldn't be playing 20 to 30%. But I do think Evan Longoria is a pretty sneaky one-off option that'll have zero power outside of San Francisco, and he's facing a pitcher in Anderson that still gives up a ton of it to righties.
Matthew Protowell in chat, Longoria is a great play versus Chase, and that message is coming in before he hears you say that. So, same page there. He is 2,800 on FanDuel, 4,600 on DraftKings. So if you like him anywhere, FanDuel's probably that spot. He's unowned on FanDuel as well. Favorite Brewers bat?
Yelich.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. 5,200 is just not that problematic.
I love how DraftKings was just like, you know what would be really fun in addition to a winner-take-all 65,000 person tournament is if we just made every single player affordable. Like Yelich and Bellinger both just, and Alonso have all just gone from like 5,700 to 5K or 5,200 or whatever.
I assume that it is on purpose for the day that it is.
Yeah.
Giants bats, no real ownership going to anyone outside of Brandon Belt on DK at 4K. I don't anticipate getting to the Giants.
No, me neither. But I do like Longoria. I don't know how much I'll actually get to, but he just kind of stands out as a guy that I think makes sense.
Yeah, I don't disagree at all. And again, that $2,800 price tag on FanDuel is certainly appealing. Alrighty, moving on to maybe this matchup, Royals and Tigers. I gave it. Do we have a total yet? Do we have a starter yet? We have nothing on this game yet. Okay. I gave it 9.5. Shrug. Not really sure. 5 for the Royals. 4.5 for the Tigers. 55% chance to win for KC. Danny Duffy for the Royals. Potentially Daniel Norris going for the Tigers, but we shall see. Duffy is quite popular. 8% ownership on Yahoo, 5% on FanDuel, and 28% ownership on DraftKings. Talk to me about Danny Duffy going up against the Tigers here.
Just kind of mispriced, I guess. 6,800 stands out as a good point per dollar option that does give you some upside. The Tigers have a predominantly right-handed lineup, which isn't great for Duffy. And he's only struck out 17.7% of righties this year. He's allowed a 201 expected ISO. The Tigers aren't nearly as bad against lefties as they are against righties. They're still not good, but they're just like below average instead of worse in the league. So it's not like it's the best spot, but the price tag just stands out.
Yeah. The 28% is just kind of scary. I don't like seeing numbers get that high on guys that I don't think are like particularly good. He's at 28. Yeah, Dylan Bundy is at 12.
Right, and that's where I think that if a stand that you wanted to take today was that you're going to go underweight on Duffy and just be overweight on the pitchers around him instead, whether that's Chase Anderson or Dylan Bundy or whoever else is there, I don't think that's a crazy idea because to me this is a situation where Duffy's a pretty mediocre pitcher in a pretty in a good but not great spot, and it's just that he's a good point per dollar play based on median projections. So you're going to get higher ownership than his actual talent level suggests you should. And whenever that's the case, I'm not opposed to just looking elsewhere.
Same. If you want to put him in there in a cash lineup, by all means, you're fine. In a GPP, I don't want to say that I'd rather have Tigers bats because a lot of these guys are just downright garbage. But I'll probably have a little bit of Tigers bats if he's 28% owned.
Yeah, it's an annoying spot because it's like I like the idea of getting the Tigers bats, but then when you take a step back and you think about that, not only do they need to make Duff have a good game, but they actually need to score like more runs than 25 other teams. It makes it a little bit tough, especially on a slate like today, because if pricing were sharper, the Tigers would be interesting because you would get leverage against Duffy. And you would get a really cheap stack that lets you afford Garrett Cole and Robbie Ray or something like that. But pricing's so soft today that you can get Garrett Cole and still either get like a really good stack or get Cole plus Ray and still get better hitters than the Tigers.
That's a really good point. They're less of a necessity today because of pricing across the rest of the industry. Oh God, and dude, this team is bad. They are really, really bad. Victor Reyes projected to lead off with his 77 weighted runs created plus via Steamer. That is not the lowest. It's not even the second lowest in this lineup. Whew. Oh my God. This is a really, really not great team. Do you anticipate getting bats on either side of this game?
I expect I'll have Castellanos. I don't know who's pitching for the Tigers. Vegas Insider has Turnbull listed. DraftKings has Norris listed.
Turnbull would be interesting here. I don't know his price tag right now.
He's $9K on DraftKings.
Turnbull's less interesting now.
But so I mean, if it's Norris, I think that the Royals are kind of interesting because Norris is just kind of mediocre, and the Royals do have. Yeah, I mean, I would roster Norris.
Yeah,
but as far as an actual pitcher goes, like Merrifield, Mondesi, Dozier, Soler would be a pretty interesting, mini stack or 4-man. Bubba Starling will probably be in the lineup for 2,800 on DraftKings. Finally getting called up to the majors after.
How old is he now? Like 25?
27.
Is he really?
27.
Jesus. Oh, wait. He was old coming in, right?
I think so, yeah.
Who's the other guy that I'm thinking of that was basically him, but young?
I know who you're talking about.
It's going to bother me. I won't remember, though. Yeah, he is. He'll be 27 shortly.
Yeah, he's 26 now.
Yeah.
27 in like less than a month.
Yeah, August 3rd. Dude, he's just.
I don't remember how old he was coming in.
Drafted in 2011. I don't know. It's too early for that math.
He looks like he's about 37.
Yeah. Well, he got paid when he came in, so at least he can pay to go back to college when it's over.
Yeah. But anyway, I mean, it's just a guy that at least has pedigree and is really cheap.
Is Daniel Norris your most owned piece of this game if he's the pitcher?
Probably not. Or of the game, probably.
Okay.
Or no, it's probably still Duffy.
Okay. Whoa. Really? You think you'd get to more Norris over Duffy? Or you think you would get to more Duffy over Norris, rather?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Just because I don't really know what I need Norris for.
It's true.
Outside of some specific lineups.
Yeah, this will be one where this is more of a guess right now. I don't think that you or I would be surprised at all to run a crunch at 6:00 and find out we get a ton of Norris.
Right. It's just that, I mean, you're talking about a guy this season has struck out 18.6% of righties. Not like that's great. 203 expected ISO, 348 expected WOBA. Basically, the reason to roster Norris would just be if it was really tough to get to the stacks that you wanted, but it's not. So knowing that I have Duffy projected for 16 DraftKings points or whatever I have him at, there's going to be a lot of lineups where it's like I could have Norris plus this, these two bats, but I can get Duffy plus these two bats that really aren't that much worse. And I have Duffy projected for a lot more raw points than Norris.
Really good point. Favorite bat in this game is Castellanos, right?
Yeah.
I don't even think I have one. I mean, it's him, but it shouldn't be in the same tier as other favorite bats. I like him, but this game's gross. And if Turnbull's in, it gets even grosser.
Yep.
Alrighty. More grosser? I don't know. 4.4 run implied total for the Cardinals, 4 for the Diamondbacks, 54% chance to win for St. Louis. Adam Wainwright going for the Cards, Robbie Ray going for the Diamondbacks. And if you're looking for where the ownership is going today, well, we found it. Robbie Ray is $36 on Yahoo. He is owned just like his price, 34%. He's $9,400 on FanDuel, only 7% ownership. and then a crisp 7,900 on DraftKings, where he's getting 39% of the ownership today. What the hell do we do with Robbie Ray?
It sucks because it's not like it's a great spot. It's
No.
hot and humid in St. Louis. They have a ton of right-handed hitters in this lineup, and they also have a lot of power in the lineup. But you're talking about a pitcher in Ray that has a 30+% strikeout percentage and is priced in a mid-range that is pretty dead. So I think it's a riskier spot than the ownership probably shows, but it's not like it's a risky spot that doesn't have a lot of upside. It's still a pitcher with one of the highest strikeout percentages on the slate at a really appealing price tag.
Yeah, there's a big difference between Robbie Ray's ownership and Danny Duffy's ownership in the constitution of what it means to your upside. 40%. I mean, so this is a spot where I'm certainly still interested in Cardinals right-handed bats, even knowing that Robbie Ray looks like a fantastic option. They are so cheap.
I mean, if you look at the Cardinals' active roster against lefties this year, for one, they've only struck out 21.1%, which is 17th. But they have a 109 WRC plus. They have a 201 ISO. And the thing that maybe even stands out the most to me is they have a 10.2% walk percentage, which is one of the highest in the league. And while Robbie Ray does strike out a lot of guys, he has walked 12.1% of hitters, which is the highest strikeout percentage for anyone on the slate other than Aaron Sanchez. So you're getting a pitcher that will give up some home runs, strikes out a lot of guys, and walks a lot of guys, facing a team that doesn't strike out a lot, walks a lot, and has a lot of power. It's a really scary matchup.
Don't forget to add that there's not a single batter in their projected lineup higher than $4,000. $3,900 Matt Carpenter in the leadoff spot is the most expensive DraftKings bat today.
Right. Like, you could probably get Clevenger plus Cole plus Cardinals if you wanted to.
Yeah. Would not shock me. And not having to force in, I mean, there's not even garbage in the Cardinals lineup. There are guys that aren't as good for sure.
Yeah.
But there's no true trash bag out there.
Yeah, I mean, the average on DraftKings, if you put Clevenger and Cole in, your average remaining salary is $3,612. That's basically the Cardinals lineup. If you get Harrison Bader and Tyler O'Neill in there, you get some decent one-offs too. So,
yeah, I'm gonna have a good amount of. Where do you think you'll come in on Robbie Ray if he's 40%? Is this a spot where you just see him as that linchpin, a potential super cheap SP1 or really perfect SP2, and you're just okay, I've got 80% array today. Today's the day.
I'm not sure. I mean, I have him projected high, but I don't have him projected that much higher than some other guys. So I think what it'll come down to really is how much getting Robbie Ray over Caleb Smith or something like that really helps me get hitters, because if the savings don't really do a lot, then I think getting lower owned pitchers over him probably is what I start to prioritize. But if those savings actually really help, then I'm not opposed to getting a lot just because I do have it projected well.
Yeah, the 40% number is really interesting, especially in the context of the hitting pricing. So the three main chalk guys today: Caleb Smith at 8,600, 27% owned; Robbie Ray at 7,900 at 39% owned; and Danny Duffy at 6,800, 28% owned. Of those three, Danny Duffy is definitely the guy that I would like to have the least of if I had to pick one. Because getting to Smith plus Robbie Ray, ignoring the logic of trying to win a massive tournament, to get Caleb Smith and Robbie Ray and their potential at a combined 16,500 is just nuts. They just both shouldn't be there. Whereas Danny Duffy is priced pretty much where he should be. It's just all of the signs of that game work out really well.
And so I'm just playing around on DraftKings right now, and you can not quite. I thought you could go Cole plus Smith with a 5-3 Cardinals Houston double stack. You can't quite finish out the Houston part, but
okay.
You can get some really good bats.
Yeah, and Fantasy Cruncher will help you put the pieces together a little bit better than your brain will. Don't be afraid to pick up Fantasy Cruncher. We now have weekly packages. Any interest in Wainwright? He's got 22% ownership on Yahoo, where he's $33.
That's a pretty appealing price tag, but it'll depend on Arizona's lineup. The projected lineup has 4 lefties in the top 6, and I wouldn't be really interested in that case. Wainwright has been really good against righties this year, but he has had issues with lefties. He struck out 25.6% of righties compared to 17.6% of lefties. He's allowed a 241 ISO to lefties, 143 to righties, 392 WOBA to lefties, 287 to righties, just really across the board. Really bad numbers against lefties, good numbers against righties. If you're going to get Dyson, Marte, Escobar, and Lamb in the top 6, it's a pretty hairy spot where I would actually be more inclined to go to like Lamb, Escobar, Marte.
Yeah, they no ownership whatsoever going to Arizona, and very little ownership going to anything on the Cardinals. This is all about Robbie Ray right now. So I will certainly have my eye on the Cardinals because of Ray's ownership, and it's not out of the realm of possibility that I see a Diamondback stack or two. Tyler O'Neill is $2,100 on FanDuel. That is an interesting price. He is also $7 on Yahoo, along with Harrison Bader and Matt Wieters. Lots of low price stuff going on Yahoo. The most expensive Cardinals bat today is $13. So if you want to stack, if you need a 6-man Yahoo stack, tune in at 1:00 and Jake and I will build one. I don't have anything. Favorite bat in this game?
DeYoung.
I agree. Shortstop at $3,700 against a lefty with high ownership. Sign me up. 4 games to go. Heading to Coors. Colorado hosting the Reds. 6.2 run implied total for the Rockies. 5.8 for the Reds. 54% chance to win for Colorado. Battle of the Grays. John Gray going for the Rockies. Sonny Gray going for the Reds. John Gray, no ownership across the board. Sonny Gray, no ownership across the board. I'm going to have more than the no ownership they're getting of both of these guys, but this is not a spot where I'm trying to get a lot.
Yeah, same here. I don't know how much, if any, I'll get. Sonny at 6,800 on FanDuel is obviously an appealing price point, but we still have Chirinos there as well. The 2 good pitchers here. Sonny, I think, a little bit better than John, but both good. Just the park. I mean, Coors is never somewhere that you wanted to take pitchers anyway. Outside of the Sonny Gray price on FanDuel, these guys aren't really priced down. Like they're cheaper than they would be in some other parks, but they're still not cheap here. The way the ball flies this year certainly doesn't help when you're in a park that the ball carries more anyway here, but also that increases batting average on balls in play, and then in general the home run environment just makes it more likely that eventually you give up a home run with several guys on base. It's just not a park where I'm really looking to take guys as much as I think that both of these pitchers are good.
I feel the same way. I hope that they maintain this lack of ownership across the board. I'd much rather just have 5% of both of them. And I really do mean both of them. Yeah. Right now, Rockies are 3rd in ownership on both sites. The Reds are number 1. So this is the chalk game. No surprises there. Do you agree with that?
Not really. In terms of projection, sure. I understand why. But I don't, from a game theory standpoint, it should really be that much more popular than a lot of these other spots. Both of these pitchers are good, and there are just so many really good offenses that you can go to today, and the Rockies and Reds, neither one are really good offenses. The pricing is ridiculous. On DraftKings, there are 2 hitters in an entire Coors Field game that are over $5,000. So I understand why they're so popular. I understand they're going to come up as top plays in projection systems, but I just don't think that the likelihood of either of these teams winning the slate is that much higher than some other just really talented offenses.
I love that one of those 2 5K guys isn't the actual best hitter in this game either. It's not Arenado.
Oh, yeah.
If you're going to have guys be priced over 5K, at least get the one that's the best hitter in the game, which is not what they did. I have the Rockies as my number 7 stack. I have the Reds as my number 6 stack. I expect to have both teams and be under the field on both. And I am more than okay with that scenario.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
It's not to say that I won't have exposure. I'm clearly going to have a lot of both of these guys. I just don't need. I mean, right now we're projecting 27% of the hitting ownership to come from this game.
Right.
I don't need to do that. Derek Dietrich projected for 1% ownership on DK. That's fun to look at. Same for Ian Desmond.
Low.
Those are really the
Reds
only ways to get like unique stacks.
The Reds are still tough to stack on sites other than FanDuel too because of the Votto, Jeanette, Dietrich positions.
Yeah. Which team do you expect to get more of?
Probably the Rockies, I guess.
I would agree. And that's mostly because of Story and Arenado.
Right.
Favorite bat in the game?
And Blackman.
Yes.
Favorite bat in the game is probably Arenado.
Okay. Suarez is close, but if Arenado is going to only be 4,900, it's hard to not take Arenado first. It's just not enough discount for Suarez. Not that I don't like him. It's a really weird game with two quality pitchers, a 12-run implied total, and the chalkiest, like the chalkiest game on the slate by far. To see that when it's Gray versus Gray, and not, I don't know, Tyler Mahle versus Senzatella or something. What's the total in that game then?
Yeah.
Or insert other garbage starters here. I can't even remember. It's been we've had too many days off that I can't remember the rotations of either one of these teams.
Yeah, I was gonna say you grabbed another like Reds pitcher that I think is really good. So,
well, I mean, you are generally wrong about these things when it comes to Cincinnati Reds starters. So there is that piece of it. All right, let's keep going. Unless you have anything else in the scores game.
No, it's just a really hard game to like verbally break down because it's just a really weird game.
Scooter Jeanette, by the way, is $11 on Yahoo if you're looking for your cash second baseman. Derek Dietrich is $10, so if you're looking for a cash outfielder, there you go.
Yeah. Also 3,800 on DraftKings. So just ignore whatever I said about Jason Kipnis being a cash option at second base.
There you go. Good callback. Oakland A's. Chicago White Sox, 5.3 run implied total for the A's, 4 for the Sox, 63% chance to win for Oakland. Mike Fiers going for the A's. Ivan Nova going for... Ooh, I might have to look up AJ Reed. Ivan Nova going for the White Sox. No ownership going to the pitching in this game. Do you anticipate going to Fiers or Nova? I can't even say Nova's name with a straight face.
No, I mean, for Nova, there's just not a lot of strikeouts in the Oakland lineup. There's not a lot of strikeouts in Nova's arm. For Fiers, not a lot of strikeouts for him. There are strikeouts in the White Sox lineup, but you're basically paying for the matchup here. You know, like on DraftKings, you have Mike Fiers at 8,500. This season, Mike Fiers has a 16% strikeout percentage. For $100 more, you can get Caleb Smith and his 31.1% strikeout percentage. So I know the White Sox are a decent matchup, but they're not that decent. So I don't expect to get to a lot of Fiers.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I need to add AJ Reed's name into my sheet. He's got periods in his name on Fangraphs and does not have them on any of our sites. So
I'm not sure he has a salary anywhere.
He's got a salary straight across the board.
He has a salary on FanDuel.
He's got one. Well, FanDuel and DK for sure.
I wasn't seeing one on DK. Maybe it just didn't pull up.
He is 3,200.
Yeah, you're right. 32. Yeah.
I'd be very surprised if Yahoo doesn't have him. They usually have everybody. Probably have him as like Alex James Reed or something stupid. I don't know what his real name is, so I'm just guessing. Oh, he's AJ Reed, and for some reason just not showing up. 16246. Is that his number? I should just do this later. 16246. Why is his Yahoo price not showing up for me? Figure it out later. Yeah, I don't anticipate having either starter. A's right now 9th in ownership. Really not getting much as a stack. It's just 14% going to the $3,700 Chris Davis. You want to stack up Oakland against Ivan Nova here? Because I certainly do.
Not really.
Really?
There's a lot of really good offenses in like decent parks today or good parks, and now you have Oakland at O.co in 66-degree weather. Like, I don't mind it, but I don't think that I'll get a lot.
Yeah, I would love to see more lefty power coming from Oakland to make this a little bit more
Yeah.
appealing.
I love Matt Olson.
Yeah. Oh yeah, so do I. 1% ownership on DraftKings right now, 5,100. Won't be hard to get over that number.
But like, here's the thing: Matt Olson's 5,100, Cody Bellinger's 5K.
And also unowned.
Right.
It's not as if Cody Bellinger's
Christian Yelich is 5,200. I know they're different positions, but
it is pretty tough. Why is this not working?
I almost want to not stack today because there's so many underpriced power hitters. I just want them all in lineups together.
This is like 2 weeks ago we had the same conversation where you're like, I think I'm just not going to stack today. Don't do it. White Sox are unowned. I don't get the sense that I'm going to be owning them anytime soon. I'm surprised they don't have a higher total, but, well, this lineup sucks. They're pretty bad. Like I guess that's Oakland for you, but a lot of respect coming to Mike Fiers, I guess. Or is Oakland's hitting like the only good thing in this game, but just not good enough from a park perspective?
Fiers is fine at not allowing runs.
Yeah, it's fair.
I guess he's not. He has
getting no hitters.
Wow. I thought he'd actually been better at preventing runs this year. 5.42x with him. Yeah, so I take that back.
I'll take some Jose Abreu.
Yeah, I'll take some Jimenez at 3,700.
That'll work. Wow. Mike Fiers expected ISO over 2018 and 2019 against right-handed hitting. Any guesses if you're not looking at it?
270.
238. But
wow.
Either way.
Yeah.
So Jose Abreu, Eloy Jimenez. Take a little bit of a look, I guess. I've got nothing else here. It's not that fun of a game. So 2 to go. Angels and Mariners. 5.5 run implied total for the Angels, 4.4 for the Mariners, 61% chance to win for LA. Felix Pena looking to be the guy for the Angels. Mike Leake for the Mariners. No ownership going to Pena, no ownership going to Leake. No interest in either from me. What about you?
Nope, me neither. Pena just not really necessary here. Leake is terrible. I like some Angels bats.
Angels 8th in ownership on FanDuel, 6th on DK. I have them as my number 4 stack. So sign me up for anything at the top 4. Calhoun, Trout, Ohtani, Upton. Don't mind getting $3,600 Andrelton Simmons. There's not a lot else to like. I don't know who some of these guys are. I don't know who Dustin Garneau is. He doesn't project to be particularly good.
He's the backup catcher for the Angels.
Cool. He's got a 67 weighted runs created plus from Steamer. I updated that today, so he hasn't even been on like a week-long hot streak to move that to 71 or something. Talk to me about the Angels, though.
A's and the White Sox or something before. Yeah, the top 4 obviously is where you want to be. You can finish out your stack with a Pujols or a Simmons or whatever. But, Calhoun, Trout, Ohtani, Upton, especially Trout, Ohtani, Upton, a lot of power there against a pitcher in Leake who has allowed either the most or close to the most home runs in baseball this year. He's always been a guy that has like a really thin margin of error and has to put the ball exactly where he wants it. And this year he seems to finally be on his way out of the league. So just, getting lit up. Angel Stadium, not the pitcher-friendly park that it used to be. So I think that at least mini stacking here makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it just sucks that it's outfield. But otherwise, I'm going to have pieces of this Angels team. Mariners getting a little love. 12th on FanDuel, 8th in ownership on DraftKings. Nothing too crazy. This Mariners team would have been a lot more interesting against Pena prior to the trades. They still have a lot of lefty bats. The problem is that there's only really power in Vogelbach and Seager.
Right.
And those are two guys that I have quite a bit of interest in today against Pena.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think that they are interesting because of how many lefties they have. Crawford has kind of shown the ability to hit a little bit this year as well.
Yeah.
But Vogelbach, one that really stands out, and then Seager's price tag is really appealing.
Seager projected for 5% ownership. Felix Pena over the past 2 years. Any guesses to his expected ISO against left-handed hitters?
I know this year it's 257.
Okay, well, it's lower than that, but it's still 200 on the dot.
Yeah.
Going to be hard to get away from a Kyle Seager $3,300 third base option when he's basically unowned. I don't get the sense that I want a ton of like Seattle stacks, but there are little pieces here. I anticipate getting them more in the one-off realm than I do in full stacks. They're my 17th ranked team in the aggregate, and we've got them 8th in ownership. So that's a pretty big gap, but I do like some of their pieces.
Yeah.
I think that's it. Final game, unless you've got anything else here. Favorite bat in this game is either Trout or Ohtani, I assume?
Yep.
Okay. Closing it out. We're going to actually have a lot to talk about here. Padres and Braves, late night hammer, 4.2 run implied total for the Pods, 4.3 for the Braves, 51% chance to win for Atlanta. Dinelson Lamet going for the Padres, Dallas Keuchel going for the Braves. Lamet is $30 on Yahoo, 35% ownership. He's $5,600 on FanDuel, 27% ownership, and $9,800 on DraftKings. He's the third most expensive pitcher on DraftKings and the cheapest guy on FanDuel today. What do we do with this sort of information? Where does the truth lie?
Somewhere in the middle. I mean, it's a bad matchup against the Braves is the first thing.
Yeah.
But Lamet has good stuff. I liked him a lot in 2017 when he came up. One thing that really stood out then was that he struggled a lot with left-handed hitters. You don't have a ton of lefties on Atlanta. Like it's a balanced lineup, but most of their good or most dangerous hitters are right-handed with the exception of Freeman. So it's not the worst matchup there, but it's also a team that doesn't strike out a lot. I don't really have interest in paying all the way up for Lamet on DraftKings, but at the same time, you're getting a massive strikeout arm at basically the minimum price on FanDuel, so and a really cheap price tag on Yahoo. So on those sites, I'm fine taking my chances on him.
What do you think about the 27% ownership on FanDuel, though? Does that dissuade you at all just because of the single pitcher setup?
Not really, because I think that it would be different if it were like a good point per dollar play, but Lamet didn't have really good strikeout stuff, but he does have good strikeout stuff. And so, I think that he can get you the raw points that you need. It's not just that people are like, oh, he can get me 32 FanDuel points. Like he can go out there and get you 50 plus. Like he has that kind of arm.
Yeah, I don't disagree. Massive strikeout stuff. Not expected to go super deep in the game.
So 80 pitches last time, I think.
Yeah, but 5,600 on FanDuel, you don't really care. These prices are hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I'm surprised he's getting 5% ownership on DK, honestly.
He, in some of the early stuff I looked at, is projecting well, like better than I think he should.
Okay.
So maybe that's why.
I have him at 14.5 right now, but I probably need to give him another third of an inning and get him up over 15. See what the impact is there. Oh, come on. Refresh. There we go. Yeah, I bumped him to 15.3. That makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah, wow. That's where I think he should be around there.
Yeah, you and me both, as opposed to a potentially different number somewhere else.
Yeah.
Any Dallas Keuchel for you?
No, thank you.
I agree. I do see that. I do think it's interesting how much he limits power. Do you have any interest in the Padres against him?
I'd have more interest if it were a different slate where the bats that I really like were hard to get to, and you were getting a discount on Machado and Reyes. But like Machado and Reyes are underpriced for how good they are, but so are like 800 other hitters on the slate that aren't facing Dallas Keuchel. So I don't have a ton of interest in the Padres.
Yeah, same interest here for me. I have them 22nd. They are coming in higher than that, so I don't need it. How do you feel about rostering the Braves bats on FanDuel?
I don't hate it because of the ownership on Lamet and the fact, like, the Braves certainly fall into that category, like I was talking about, the Dodgers or the Red Sox or the Twins, where they have the talent to just break any particular slate, even in tougher matchups. It's not a high probability stack, but it certainly has the upside to win you a tournament.
Yeah,
I prefer full stacking them than to taking one-offs.
agreed. And the prices aren't too crazy. On FanDuel, at the very least, I'd like to have a couple full stacks of Atlanta just because of his ownership. On DraftKings, I don't really see the need. You're not really gaining anything against his lack of ownership there. 13 up, 13 down, man. We are in and out. I'm really anxious to see how this plays out. When you get Caleb Smith at that price and Robbie Ray and Danny Duffy as the chalk, Garrett Cole as the clear top option under 20%, just gaps in pricing up and down. Coors games. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've got 11 of the 26 teams at a 5+ run implied total. We've got 1, 2. I thought that was going to be a bigger number. 2 sub 4. There's a lot of red on the sheet, but they were all like 4 and 4.1. I got a little too excited there. Should be a fun slate. I'm just happy to be back talking baseball and, well, having something to play. Not that I don't love sweating the John Deere Classic on Thursdays. That's everything, guys. Coming up the rest of the day, all the spotlight articles are already out. Laffy will have the deep dive article out in the early afternoon. Jake and I will be back at 1 p.m. talking Yahoo strategy specifically. No boss man today, traveling back from his vacation over the All-Star break. It's the only real time he can really do that. Deeper dive, Adam and Laffy coming up probably at 5 o'clock. I don't get the sense you guys will have any trouble getting through all these games in an hour. And then Chris and Jake live before lock, 6 to 7. That's all we've got, everybody. Adam, anything else?
Nope.
Thanks for tuning in with us, guys. Hit the like button on your way out the door. Subscribe to the channel. MLB Strategy is the promo code. 50% off your first month with us on any monthly package you choose. Finally, we are presented by Yahoo Sports. I will drop the link into chat once again. Once I get to it. If I get to it. I have a link to our site on my bookmarks bar. I never click on it for some strange reason. Here it is. This is Emacs Yahoo specific strategy article. If you want to check that out and sign up at Yahoo, the link will be contained in the article. You can use the promo code AWESOMO for up to $30 in Yahoo Sports rewards points. And that is it. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. And Adam and Jake will be back with you guys Monday morning. But we will have shows up Saturday and Sunday. MLB is back. Football is coming. And Russell Westbrook is a Houston Rocket. What a world. We're out of here.